So, how you guys doing this week?
Doing good.
I don't know.
Hey, let's
Last
see the
two.
ankle bracelet. I mean, if you're in jail, you got to be wearing an ankle bracelet, right?
Oh
uh,
no.
well, to answer your question, Texas is under some tornadoes, so if you see me, dash out or something like that, you'll know I'm. It's severe weather here, so I'm participating under severe weather
Okay.
conditions. So
Hey, Craig, Craig. Hey, I'm not getting any audio from you on your computer.
Sure.
Yep. Now we got audio from you.
Yeah, I just had to
Uh,
unplug my speakers. We're good. My
okay.
bad.
Yeah. Sorry, we didn't have any audio from you. So,
Yeah, just I got my.
uh,
I guess I want to tell everybody I got my bracelet on. I'm still in Facebook jail, but they know where I'm at.
yeah,
oh boy, you bad boy. So, what's everybody's weekends? What did we? How was our weekends this last weekend?
I had to work a little bit, but I went bowling and hung out on the river. Got a little
Bowling and
got a
hung
little
out on the river.
suntan, so I was with my girlfriend a little bit, and cars in the shop. Hang on, here comes something. Let's see what's up.
Yeah. Let's
Can you hear
see.
that in the background?
I heard it a
Well,
There's
little
no,
bit.
yeah, there's no sirens. It's just the alerts. So,
okay.
um,
Well,
Y-
I got the car out, did about 50 miles, went and picked up my kid at his work, and of course, there's always a couple little things you realize you didn't work on during the winter, but everything was good and started, ran, got back home.
yeah, I saw some of the video on I guess Instagram, and
Yep.
looked like a good day, and shifting the gears good, and just
Yeah, it's good. I do.
enjoying it.
I'll tell
Good.
you. I'll tell you what. You bring up a question. So I asked you, Joey, the other day. I'm gonna ask Daniel. Daniel, in your car, do you run a hydraulic or a manual? Or a mechanical clutch?
Mechanical clutch on mine actually.
Okay. So do you have the original 55 return spring on the clutch up under the dash?
No, I do not. I took that out shortly after the first couple of weeks of driving it because that sucker, it between the combination of the pedal of the clutch or the um, pressure from the clutch and the pressure of that, it would make that clutch slam out pretty daggum hard. So
Okay.
I just ended up what I did is instead of having that on there, I just had the I have a light spring underneath on the frame that just pulls it back a little bit. Other than that, we're
Okay.
good.
So when you're attached, this is a dumb question but I'll get to my why I'm asking this. So when you attach your spring, do you attach it to like the Z bar or the clutch fork and then pull it forward?
Um, yes, I do attach it to. I attach it to the. Um, oh, what you call it? I attach it to the bell crank.
Okay. Because the reason I ask, because I've got the one up under the dash and I don't have one
Right.
below. And when I get heated up just a little bit when it's warm, she gets a little sticky again, which, last year I had transmission and clutch problems, but it
Right.
shifts fine. When I push it in hard and let go hard, it shifts great. But if I'm in traffic and I'm trying to ease it in and ease it out, that top 2 or 3 inches, it wants to
It
stutter a little bit.
should.
And I was told, Mr. Feckler said I should probably put another spring underneath just to help that assist because with all the joints, it can be twisting just a little bit, get some binding or something. I don't know.
It could be getting a little binding in there. The one thing that I've done, I've called up Jerry Bickle race cars, and what I did is I put spherical rod ends on all of my stuff, and so mine down underneath, the bell crank uh, to the bell crank from the Z bar or bell crank, whichever one you want to call it, from there
Yep.
to the clutch fork. I have ball, the spherical ball ends, heim
The
joints,
heim
basically
joints
heim
kind of thing.
joints. Yep, basically Heim joints on there, so it gives it better, works better. And
Right.
yours, Craig, that kind of sounds like something to where it's binding in there somewhere. Either it's going over center, or it's going too far, you know, in its movement of travel. So you want to try and get it get it as close, through the center of the arc as you can without, you know, having to worry about not being in the center of the arc. Or
Right.
you want it to be in the center of the arc and not be so far out of the center of the arc.
Yep. No, I understand that. Like I said, though,
So,
I started up today. I moved it. I had to move it out of the garage and around the yard a little bit while I was moving some stuff around it. It shifted just fine, beautiful, smooth. But it's only when it gets up, like I'm running 200 degrees, running through town, stop and go, and she gets a little sticky. Like, and I feel it right in the pedal, like there's something under the dash. Once again, that's like a little dry. I need to throw some oil on it, but it disappears when it's cold.
okay. Yeah. As far as that goes, I'm going to say, it may be just a matter of taking stuff apart and kind of looking, seeing, where it may be catching or whatnot. Because, like I says, mine, when it get up there to that last little bit, it's just like it would throw it way back up. Like it would just
Yep.
slam it out. So, that just may be just a little bit of a matter of adjusting some,
Right.
minor
Well, and that's
adjustment.
and I'll probably look at that. I know I want to do the spherical rods and the Heim joints that you're talking. I've seen a couple kits where you can
Mm-hmm.
do it, or you can just make it yourself. I probably do that in the wintertime next year.
Yeah, well, when you go to do it, let me know, and I can, take some pictures of what your clutch fork is and everything, and I might be able to, tell you exactly what to order from Bickle Race Cars, and you can,
Okay.
build it yourself in the garage. It's actually pretty easy, so not not too hard to do. So,
Yep. No, that's cool. Super. Other
oh
than that,
well,
other than that, everything ran great. And I do have another question. I'm going to take over the whole show with questions, though. So
oh boy,
my fuel line that goes right. So the fuel line. This is a question. Obviously, I have an external fuel pump, and the fuel line goes into an AN fitting that goes into the tank. Okay. It's always been a little wet right around the
right,
rubber where it pressed into the right where it pressed into the AN fitting. Well, I came in yesterday and I go out this
right.
morning and I got a puddle. I got a puddle on the floor that's probably about 8 inches diameter now. There's no standing. It's just just fuel. It just flowed out, so it's not that bad. But I go, okay, how does somebody retighten that, or does somebody you got to actually get a whole new AN fitting pressed back on there again?
Well, is
Um,
the are we talking like a female AN fitting where it's got two pieces, and it's a 37-degree flare fitting in there that mats to it. So you take the collar off of it, and then you have
Right.
your hose, and then you slide that through there, and then you push the collar on there, and then you're talking about that fitting, or you're talking about like the male end on the.
Oh, you know, I really don't. To be honest with you,
are
Joey, it's
are
been
you
so
talking
couple
it's
years
leaking
since I looked
from
at
the?
it.
Are you talking it's leaking from where the rubber slides
Correct.
into the AN fitting? You're
Yep.
talking where when it's in there and you've got the nut and the line in there, it's leaking right there. That probably
Yep.
tells me that inside of the hose may have a nick in it or something to where it's letting fuel by, or you didn't get your rubber fuel line far enough up into the AN nut on there
Yep.
for it to properly seat and clamp. Excuse me. Smoked pork shoulder for supper tonight and last night. Oh, it was to die for. Sorry. Yes, I'm gonna forever be the one that's gonna end up burping a little bit on camera. Sorry. But anyways, you just need to get it a little bit farther in there, and it should be once you get it a little bit farther in there, it should be okay.
Okay.
So
You
and
know,
it may be something where you can take it apart and just jam it in farther, or it may be something where you need to get a new piece of AN line and re re-put it together.
If you got enough slack, it's probably better to cut it again
Right.
Yeah.
just to see.
And then
Wrap
trying to
it
remember
good
which
in
trying to remember which size fitting
wrap it
that
good
Jim
in
and I
duct
bought.
tape. You probably is it your fuel line from like that goes to the carburetor and whatnot?
No, the fuel. Well, this fuel goes to the fuel pump on the rail.
It's probably an
Fuel.
8, 6 or an 8.
I'm gonna guess
Hopefully it's an 8.
being that it's a street car, I'm gonna guess you probably want a 6AN because you probably got 3/8 fuel line in the car,
Yeah,
right?
I can't remember.
Okay, probably a 3/8
I
fuel
can't.
line because I doubt that he built the car with 1/2 inch fuel line like you and I would, Joey. So he's not worried about volume like we are
Right.
necessarily. So it's probably going to be a 3/8 fuel line, which would be a 6AN.
And that'll flow.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that'll flow enough.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
watching the show
I
right
got
now on
some
my
line out
computer,
here you
by
could
the way,
look
because
at.
Terry Bledsoe said that I keep fragmenting on your end, and I
Yep.
don't know why that would
You
be.
do. I don't know. It's mostly your picture that keeps fragmenting,
Yep.
But
I would think it would be mine just because the storm that's coming
yeah,
through.
actually, right now, Joey, you've been pretty good. Right now, at this moment, you just started to fragment a little bit down on your chin, but it'd be all right. It's not perfect, but hey, we're having fun, right?
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, and like you see, I'm looking right now, and it looks fine, and it just goes to fragment. So I don't know. It could be my Wi-Fi, whatever. I mean, we don't have clear skies here either, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's
No,
okay.
I'll tell you what. I've got leftover fuel line, so I'll go measure it and take a look at what I got, and then I'll probably I'll get underneath to see if I can tighten it at all. If not, I'll probably have to buy one of those tools to put the AN fitting on the line again because I don't have one of those tools.
Oh, it's not too terrible bad to put the nut on the hose and then get the other one in there. Um, it's usually pretty simple and pretty easy.
Yeah,
You know,
except for the fact I got 25 gallons in the tank right now.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that does make sense there. So,
Yeah, that's all right.
I didn't even get to tell you about my weekend.
Go for it.
Oh, well, all right, okay. So last week, a buddy and I, he was supposed to help me with some concrete, doing some concrete in my backyard, and we ended up. It was just going to be at first. We were just going to do the groundwork and get it dug out for the concrete, and then it turned into, well, let's just go ahead and do everything. And oh yeah, why don't you schedule the truck for Saturday? So I'm like, okay, what night you coming with the skid loader and stuff? And he's like, well, it might be Wednesday or it might be Thursday. Ended up being Friday. So at about 9:30, 10 o'clock, he's going to take his truck home to dump the dump trailer and come back with the other trailer to pick up the skid loader. His truck dies about 2-3 miles north of my house and about 10 miles south of his house. So then it was go pick him up, get back to my house, and finish all the framework. And then at like 11:30 at night, it's like, guys, how about we call it a night? Come back, finish doing some raking and filling in the couple of holes that we got and whatnot. And we'll come back about 5:30 in the morning. That turned into Saturday morning. We got everything ready. We ordered 5.5 yards for a 16 by 16. And which you only need about 4.5. We ended up with about a half a yard extra mud to do what we had. And then after all that, then we had to go and we had to get his truck to his house, which that was a whole nother fiasco. Had to get somebody else to help us and haul the trailer and haul the other trailer and get the skid loader. And so needless to say, that weekend project turned into a lot more than we expected. So
Yeah, sounds like it.
I know it
But isn't
wasn't
that how
track
it
five.
always is in anything? You
Yeah,
think it's going to be quick and easy, and it's never that way.
yeah. It's never never that way.
Ne-
Never lose
Well,
that
welcome,
one.
welcome to my life of construction. That's the way it is every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
Construction. I'm sure
I see,
that always turns, one way to the other, and never how you expected it.
well, when it comes every rain day that comes and I can't work, I literally have to call the next 18 people to let them know, hey, I'm running another day behind. You
Yeah,
know,
because it
there is no,
rained.
they don't understand that. That's just part of the game. So, but I see we've got
Yeah.
Eric Feckler Senior's watching, Terry's watching, David Bacon. I see what I'm reading 6 people. Is that what you guys have? Is that what
Yep.
you have, Dan?
Yep. Yeah, I've got 6 people right now. Which, hey, for our first week of being back live after a month of not being able to be live, yeah, that's not bad at
Yep.
all.
No.
It works.
No, this
So,
format looks
anyways,
it looks really good.
yeah, so far I like it pretty good. It looks decent. So we were kind of going to discuss about, backspacing, wheels and tires. And last week, Joey and I kind of got into a discussion, as far as, tire fitment, and how Joey's car, he had, what'd you say, you had a 310 on it or 325 on it before?
No, I had a 315 on it.
315. Okay, that's what it was. And it was a taller tire, but it didn't quite get as many good looks as the 275, because the 275 squats, sets the car down more in squats. So people gave him good compliments on that.
Yeah, I mean, and just kind of go back. I mean, it's got a 275 on it because the street class, you have to have a 28-inch tall tire, not a 30-inch tire. You can't run it. Why it looks kind of neat with a big fat tire in the back of it. Like I said, it's just if you can lower the car and still use the same size wheel, it's still going to look good. It's still going to look. What's that? Oh, so, but yeah, I know everybody to me, gets caught up on how big the tire is, and of course, if you got a car that sits like that, just because it's got a big tire in it doesn't, I mean, you'd rather have it
Yeah,
sit, you know,
yeah,
sit
a big
have a little
tire
bit of a
with
rake to it.
the
Yeah,
brake, that don't
have a
look
little bit of a rake to it. And then we touched on functionality of how do you drive it. I mean, if you just do nothing but drive it on a drag strip and pull it off a trailer and stick it on there, I mean, you don't have to worry about articulation or driving over, driveways and articulate and it rubs and all that
right.
stuff. So
Right. Yeah.
that's a
Where
big thing that
mine.
people get really once you get weight in the car and you start trying to drive it and it rubs. How embarrassing is that? And it could be
Yeah.
dangerous too.
Oh
If
yeah, it
things are in
can.
there.
I mean, mine. You can hear the tires squeak and touch. And for the most part, mine's built for drag racing. Now, if I had a 295 on it, you wouldn't hear it squeak and rub, but or a 275, you wouldn't hear it squeak and rub. But with the 2959, it's got a section width, like we said before, like 12 to 13 inches. So that
Mm-hmm.
12 to 13 inch section width, it gets pretty close when you got all the preload in and everything else. So, it's not perfect, but we make do with what we have. And if I would have put a mini tub in it, or narrowed the rear end a little bit, or moved something one way or the other, it'd probably fit a little bit better. But I kind of go for the people look in the car and see the seat in it and see, like, wow, you stuffed that much tire under there, wow, that looks really good. you know
Yep.
and I had a 28 10.5, and that fit just as easily as a 29 9. So you
Mm-hmm.
know and where Craig, you still got leaf springs under the car, right, Craig?
Yep, I got leaf springs with the pocket kit, so the leaves have been moved under the frame. But
Okay,
I
so
was just
yours is
having this.
moved in.
Yep,
Okay, so you don't necessarily have the fitment issue of spring to tire or spring to wheel clearance.
no, no, I
Okay.
moved the springs were moved in, so I've got a 275, and theoretically I could put a 295 under there, But
Right.
I was having this discussion with Eric Feckler earlier this day, and I mean I've got from the the quarter to the tire, I can get about up to my knuckle, which I'm guessing 3/8 of an inch, quarter inch, whatever, half inch, and then on the inside, I'm plenty of ways away from the springs and all that, but it's that upper part of the wheel well where it starts to curve in. That's where
Mm-hmm.
you're going to rub if I get the 295 on there, because if I go any lower or hit a bump, that's where it's going to squeak and rub. But I know guys put 295s under there even with springs, and I don't know how they do it, but it. I didn't at the time. I didn't have the knowledge or the skill that I do now. 3 years later, but my body guy wanted $2,000 to put mini tubs in, which is now I know is a ridiculous price because it's not that
Yeah.
bad. But
Right.
if I could have had the mini tubs, oh, it'd been great. Then I'd been running 315s. But at the same point, my rear end was already built, so that means you got a huge backspace, but the deep dish of the wheel really wouldn't be any better. So you know,
Well, see, that's something you touched on too, because a lot of the late model cars, it's backspacing. What do you like? Obviously we're, in uh, the hot rods, and we like deep dish more than we
Mm-hmm.
have it pushed out. You can
yep,
fit things differently. But to me, it looks, and it's really kind of based on the wheel. Like if you look at you know, uh, a like a billet specialty rival or even the torque thrust, with the way the spokes are kind of curved,
Right.
if you take a spoke that's flat, it actually makes it look deeper because you don't really have that curved on the outside. Because some of
Right.
those wheels kind of have a
right.
curve, so it kind of gives it a little bit deeper of a look if that's what you're after. But like I said, the late model cars, the Mustangs, the F bodies, and all that, and the Cadillacs, they all push that outside because that's what they have to do, and you don't really have a deep dish, in which most majority of us are probably going to like. And I like the deep dish wheel, so you can have a 275 with a deep dish wheel, and it sits low. They're really, and if it's stretched over a 10 or 11 or 12-inch tire, it's going to look fatter than really what it is, and they're going to like, holy crap. I mean, that's one thing at the drag strip why guys stretch that over a wheel like that is they don't have tire bulge. They actually have it's tight. It's really really stretched tight, and they get a little
Yeah.
bit the footprint increases some.
Right. The
So and they
footprint
don't have to do.
increases. That's why you and I do that kind of stuff. I have a 9-inch tire on a 10-inch wheel. Where I don't know how big of a wheel do you got under yours?
It's a 10-inch. I mean,
Ten
I'd
inch.
love to you know, I wish I'd have went with a 12, on mine. But at the time when I ordered the wheels, and long story short, the Reader's Digest of this deal is Weld. I was going to order Wells, and I was trying to make a race, and they were supposed to be done, and I got jacked around, and then I just said, hey, I called Jegs and said, what do you got stock and this wheel, this backspace, and this bolt pattern, and it's the
Right.
ones I have now, and I got a really good deal on them, so I was just stuck with that. So,
I
but
think
anyway,
picking out wheels is got to be the hardest and worst decisions ever to make on the car.
Yeah.
yeah, it just
Those.
makes it. I mean, it can make a car, that's for sure.
Those are picking wheels out. It can be difficult. It. I think I probably, I've seen 55s with Pro Stars, and what's the drag, the
Lumen
street
Stars,
lights, and
Lumen
between
Stars.
Pro Stars and Street Stars, and then I look at the billet specialties. I forget the street light is what I've got on my car. And I looked, and it's like, okay, the street lights, that's what looks really good. It between
Mm-hmm.
the chrome that's on the car and the green and everything else, it just all matched together, looked really good. And I
Yep.
was pleased with how it all turned out. Looks great.
Well, I took a gamble. I'm going to tell you because, like your solid color cars, the black wheels. I
Mm-hmm.
did this minor street lights with the black, except now that I have a Comp 5 in the front, which is a billet specialty wheel. Um,
Right.
but having a light colored car that's two toned, uh, I really had to go out on a limb to for a black wheel. Because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like because like either one of your cars, your guys' cars, I mean it's
Yep.
just natural thing. It's just a solid color, and it would look good with that. But yeah, I was pleasantly pleased after I got them on there because you're just looking at them from a start. You're like, ain't going to pay this kind of money for that. But
Yeah.
I'm pleased with it. And I know there's a fad now. Everybody's going from black wheels back to chrome. I mean, it's just kind of a
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I like
I'm
them. So
I'm looking at comments here. Christopher
Yep.
Files. What I have on my car, I have the rear suspension on my car is uh, S&W ladder bars, 36-inch ladder bars. And then I have a Dana 60 and I have coilover shocks in the rear. And then David Bacon, to respond to your question as far as how close does that come to the quarter panels on mine. Mine rub when I go around corners. And then mine, my pinky is about the most I can get between the quarter panel and the tire on the driver's side. And then the wheel tub and the tire on the passenger side, I can get about my pinky in there. But depending on how the body rolls, it will rub, on the wheel tub, and the quarter panel, either side, So I have nice, shiny, polished spots on each side. So
that just keeps all the rubber rubbed off of it. That's what.
yeah. Yeah, no, like Josh Hinkle says, yeah, as long as I don't see anyone putting those modern ghetto rims on a Tri-5. Yeah, everybody has their own thing, but, and everybody's style is different, It's, each to their own. They got to like what they have, and they're the one that's got to live with it. But, yeah, don't put any of them weird, still keep a hot rod looking wheel. I don't care if they're like, a 19 or a 20 or a 21 or 22, but at least keep the hot rod wheel look.
True.
No, yeah,
See here.
but
I had some haters that didn't like the fact that I had a 17 on the front and a 15 on the back.
oh, I think the 17, the bigger wheel. I think the bigger wheel looks great on on the drag race stuff. I think it looks great, and that you got less rubber hanging around out there. But do you end up sacrificing weight on the front? Do you end up putting more weight having those bigger, taller tires or bigger, taller wheels?
I changed back to the 15 for really two reasons. One is I needed more sidewall,
Right.
just because the wheelie stuff aspect. I didn't want to run a biply tire. I wanted to, continue with the radial. And then the other part is you just don't have a lot of choices in a front runner anymore. It's hard to find anything. You just can't find anything. So it was just a simple thing. Simple thing to do. It was nice. The rollout, which some of you guys, I mean, when we talk about rollout on a drag car, the bigger wheel in the front gives you a better rollout from the time you hit the beams, and that's why a lot of them use the bigger front
Mm-hmm.
wheel
Yeah.
and not the and the back. Of course, the 15 is just because you give you sidewall, but that's
Yeah.
that's predominantly. Plus, they want to kind of feel the wheel well on these older cars, but I'm happy with back where I'm at. 15's on all four corners, and
Yeah.
But yeah, I had some haters that didn't like the 17 on the front, and
Oh, yeah. I think they look good, actually. Joe Miller was asking beadlocks on the street. Beadlocks on the street, and thoughts on double versus single. If you're just going for the look, I would probably just do a single beadlock, or don't they make beadlock simulators that you can
I don't know if
put
they do
on?
beadlock simulators.
I
I'll
mean,
tell you if you're gonna run a radial tire and you're gonna do any kind of racing with it at all at the track,
you want to
you're gonna
double.
have to get you're gonna have to get a beadlock period, and a beadlock will help you, and it'll keep you from wrecking your car. First of all, you can't screw it. Well, you're not supposed to screw in a radial tire. Like
Right.
where you can do a slick or a biply tire, you can screw those in, but eventually it's going to spin. It's going to spin on the rim, and if you ever have any kind of blowout, really having that beadlock on there will actually stay. It'll keep the tire on the wheel. I mean, you
Right.
may chew up the tire. You're gonna ruin the tire, possibly ruin the wheel. but at least it won't dig in. It'll stay locked on there. So if you're planning on racing and you're planning on racing a radial, just having and if you have the bead locks, the negative to having a double bead lock is you're going to have to be careful with the brakes. You're really limited on your brake selection because it's so tight back there. But it's easier to you can put your own tires on. So, you don't have to worry about having a tire machine and getting it on there. I mean, it's really easy to put them on there, and you zip them on there, and that saves you money down the road.
Do you still have to do you still have to have them balanced? I don't know that.
I don't balance mine.
I
don't balance mine.
I'm sure there's a way to get them balanced, but I don't think
You would have to be. You'd have to be really. Those magnets would. I mean, you can do them kind of like what you did with your car, but I'm telling you, with the double bead lock, I mean, there is very. If you, I have a dual piston caliper, and it's tight. I mean, it's really. I mean, it's very, very tight to fit on there. So you'd have to be very careful with the weights in the back. But I don't really feel. I don't feel a vibration, But I don't drive anybody else's car that's, my car's not really loud anymore, but I mean, it's a hot rod, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to jump in my truck or something, or my little work car and go, hey, this is great. I don't have any wind noise and it rides so smooth. And,
David, no, you really don't move the brakes inward. You don't move them towards the pinion to clear the bead lock. If you're talking like move them inward, I think for the most part, if you're moving them inward, that's just because you're narrowing the rear end. There's no real point, in moving them inward. You get the brakes are stuff that usually fit in the brakes are what fits in the wheel, and usually most of them are designed to fit in a 15-inch wheel. You just don't have a whole lot of room for stick on weights. You gotta be careful about where you put them and where you put them, just so you can clear the. They're also indicating some rotation on radar
between the communities of Salina and Weston.
I see where both Joey and I are blurry again.
Some rotation showing on radar between Bristol.
It kind of comes and goes.
All storms moving northeast.
That may be me with the weather here. That may be me. So on that part of it.
And I don't know. Previous weeks we didn't have any issues, and this week we're having a lot of issues. And then maybe previous weeks we were just recording and not going live. Where it's going live, it may be just kind of the lag, between everything trying to make its way out. Let's see. Joe Miller says, on a stock rear wheel well opening with wide tires, are you able to mount wheels without disconnecting shocks and coilovers with short backspace? 4-inch is what I'm thinking, but I'm not for sure if that's enough. And I have, on mine, I have a 4.5 backspace, if I remember right. And I still have to, and the other thing that you got to think about, Joe, is how tall is your tire? On a 55 with the square wheel tub, a lot of times you've got to disconnect the shock and get that suspension to drop down and out, so you can get the tire and wheel out of there.
I will say that I don't have to. I don't have to, because the biggest thing is I went with the 18-inch rear wheel.
Right.
With
so
the
you got a rubber band
with the 18-inch wheel, you're able to drop this, just jack up the frame and twist it out from underneath. Whereas if you had a 15 or 16-inch wheel, you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah. There's two things. There's two things to add to that. One is the type of tire you have. If you have a bi-ply tire, you can let all the air out of it, and it makes it a whole lot easier. Yeah. And the other thing is, how long are your studs? Because, if your studs are longer, and you're like, I have a 5.5-inch backspace on my car. So, and my studs have to stick out a little longer because I have drive studs on it. So it's got a big 5/8 inch lug nut on it. So the 275s, I don't drop a shock on my car at all. But if the 315s, yeah, I gotta drop the lift the car up, drop the suspension, undo a shock. I take air out of the tire, and then I still got to do yoga to get it out of there. I mean, it's a pain
Yeah.
in the ass to get it out of there, and that's
Yeah.
with a radio. Yeah.
So there is multiple, there is multiple, factors that you got to look at. How long are your wheel studs? How, you know, um, you know, what size wheel you have. If you have a larger wheel, like Craig was saying, a larger wheel, you have more room to drop the wheel down and then kind of rotate it to get it out. Whereas, like Joey alluded to there, where Joey and I have long wheel studs, and Joey even has the drive studs. It makes it difficult to get them out. So, um, and Joe, the other thing that you got to remember is those of us, running the longer wheel studs, that's, stuff that NHRA requires because they want to see, some wheel studs sticking out of the lug nut. Now, do you necessarily have to keep that, full length? Can you cut it, like a quarter of an inch or a little bit past the, the head of the lug nut? Yeah, you can. But NHRA, they want to see some sticking out of the lug nut, so they know you have the long drive stud, long wheel studs or drive studs on there. But a lot of times you end up with, the drive studs. They're already a fairly long predetermined length, and you cannot shorten those because they have a large center bore, and then out on the end they have the threads, which are a smaller bore, smaller size. So it's kind of with drive studs like Joey has, you have to do all the extra work to get the tire out from under it. Now where I'm still running half-inch studs, and whatnot, I could shorten the studs up and I'd have a little bit easier time getting the wheel out, but it's still a 29 and a half inch tire on a 15-inch wheel up in a stock 55, wheel tub. So, Craig's drawing pictures over here. So
I think he took a little blue pill because he's got a little blue piece of paper and it's showing what the after effects after the little blue pill.
Yeah,
we're gonna feel sorry for Misty Jane tonight.
Craig is our entertainment for the week.
So what you're saying, Craig, is you're no weatherman, but you're expecting a couple of inches going on tonight, right?
Yeah, there's the skies are cloudy, but they're going to clear with a hard rain.
Well, hey,
no,
that happens.
I'll tell you what. To talk about the wheels, obviously when I had my car, my dad had it, whatever, before me, and he had the 14-inch. They were 14-inch by 10-inch wheels on a stock rear end, and to get those out, you had to basically disconnect the shocks, disconnect the front shackles on the springs to drop it down low enough, or maybe not the spring shocks, but actually the shackles. And because with the drum brakes, I mean, you almost had to pull that wheel straight off to get it out. So now that was one of my worries, but I've got the 2-inch 5-spring. They're five spring leafs.
Yes, he does, Terry. Yes, he does.
2-inch drops. And if I just jack up my frame, they drop out nice enough. But with the 18-inch wheel, you're actually able to kind of just scoop it in there over it because I got the rotors, disc brakes now. So that's the best way to go. I mean, honestly, I don't know what size everybody wants to run, but that's the plus size for me. Running an 18 in the back is not having to drop it any more than I do.
And to add to that, when we're sitting here talking about all the little special things of, when you're talking about pulling it straight off, that's the other thing of having a bead lock on the inside. It makes it a little rougher to do that. So,
that kind of adds a little bit of width to the wheel, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's low car problems. Everybody, and that's just, I mean, it's just, again, it's what look you're looking for. If you don't want to deal with those issues, just put you an air ride on it if you still want to look low, and then raise it up to whatever. But
Yeah.
again, if you're going to have if one of those airbags bust or you have a problem, you're going to be back in square one. It's just and they have those issues as well. So it's just whatever whatever your car you look at, there's always going to be something that's going to be like it's going to make it a more pain in the butt. We talk about headers the same way. Oh my God, you got headers on there now. Well, yeah, it's great until it's so low you start dinging your headers, or it burns up spark plug boots, and I mean it's just it's a hot rod.
Yep, a hot rod.
Yep.
You got to expect it, And
does anybody even carry a spare tire with them in case they get stopped on the side of the road? No.
Well, I mean, there's spare tires in the trailer, but
Right.
not in the car.
AAA, baby, AAA. I mean that's or it's getting rolled up on the trailer. I'll get my winch out.
Hey, State Farm, mine. I've had once or twice. I've had State Farm haul mine. Got that full coverage, and it just gets loaded up on a trailer, and or not a trailer, loaded up on a flatbed, and they bring it back here and roll it into the shop. I think the last time that happened for me was it broke the transmission. So
well, as both you guys know, 2 years ago I had that little brake accident when the car had its accident. I saved that front wheel. Now it's all gouged up. The tire is half bald in one spot, but I saved it because that goes in the truck if I go to Kentucky, because that's good enough tire. That is a good enough tire to get me to the next town if I got to take her slow, and it will fit on the back also.
Yeah. I mean it's there's some cars out there that are going to do a lot of driving, and it's okay for them to have that. But again, it just boils down to, like me, it's not going to do me any good to change a tire, especially when I have the 315s on there, because I'm like, there's no way of doing it. You're going to have a jack that's going to jack the car up tall enough to drop the rear end out of it, and then have another floor jack on there to pull the shock out of it. So, you're just stuck like Chuck.
You need a floor jack to jack the car up. You need a pair of jack stands to put underneath the frame, a block of wood to put underneath the front tires, and then you let the car down until it hits the jack stands, and then you start taking the shocks loose, and you get the rear end down far enough to where it's almost on the tension of the shocks, because coilover shocks, you don't want to just take the bolts out when you got pressure on them. Get them down to where you can get them loose, and then you get the everything there, and you finally, once you got the bolts loose, then you start letting pressure off, and you start pulling the bolts out and start dropping it down, and
and getting the car that high enough, getting the car high enough to make the rear end drop enough to actually remove the wheel, and then put a another wheel back on it. That's the other issue to it. So
so anyways, I think that's probably about where we're going to leave it for tonight. And I want to thank Joey and Craig for being here tonight. And I want to thank everybody for watching. This night has been a great night. We had some good discussion about tires and wheels, and kind of just different things to think about and look at. We didn't even really get to talk much about how to measure backspace or what to do to measure backspace. And maybe next week, if the three of us are going to get back on here, then the three of us will kind of discuss that again. Get a good feel and good idea for it.
Maybe talk about some shocks or something.
Yeah, we talk about shocks, different things between coilovers and regular stock shocks. Coilovers are more for 4-link versus the other things that you got going on. But so
that's a confusing one, Dan. That's a confusing one.
Yeah, I'm sure it is a confusing one.
Okay. So
I'm thinking Craig thinks that's going to be like a scratch and sniff or something. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I was gonna do a little product placement. I can't see my screen right now, so obviously because it's froze up again.
Oh, no, we can see you.
I was gonna show guys this. All right, so this is a little product. I'm gonna do one product review every night I'm here, just on stupid things that I do. So this is called the Slim Sunlight. It's 360 lumens. What's nice about it, it comes with rubber tips, And on the rubber tip, just the tip, what's really nice, so if you're around your car, first of all, what's really nice when you're around your car, if you accidentally touch your car, you're not chipping paint, you're not scratching stuff. But I also have, because I got it in black also, but you can get spare tips. So what's really nice is when you turn it on, very bright, you can actually grab the other end in your teeth without hurting your teeth. So when you're working on something, especially like electrical under the dash, you can sit like this without a problem. Now, it's not rechargeable, but I like that fact. It's double. It takes AAA batteries, and they last forever. But this is like $45 online. If you guys want, anybody wants it, shoot me a message. I'll send you the link. But it's Slim's. You can Google it too. Slim Sunlight, and they're fantastic. I can do that too, Dan. Joey, where's yours? So, but
Dude, you do not want me to pull out my flashlights. I will win the flashlight war. I promise you.
I don't know, Joey. You've seen the new one I got.
I've got a little short one that I put on my badge at work. It's
his is a little short one.
I will say that again, Joey.
So short with a capital S. No, I don't. I don't have. You know. Do you think Miss Debbie would appreciate some y'all talking about? You know, you think I could snag Miss Debbie with a, you know?
No.
With a last name like True Love, come on, dude. I mean, you got something to live up to. You know.
Well, with a name like Weisfending, everything's long.
Yeah. Well, you know,
at
least our conversation was so good. It was all Tri-5, and it's gone south.
Yeah,
it really has gone south. But you know, we are guys, and that's why it is a guys channel. It's a guys. So you know, because we know at some point, you know, we are going to be guys.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate you guys letting me out of jail for the night. I got about 17 more days to go.
Yeah, well, we aren't telling you Facebook that you're here, so don't worry.
Right? They're buggers. I can't stand that. I'm over it. And this is my pledge. When I get back into Facebook, it's nothing but I moved my family. It's nothing but mob and my family and car, my dog, mob, dog. That's it. I'm not going to do anything else because funny story is my wife's friend just got put in Facebook jail on Saturday. And in Minnesota, we have some really awful food. So let me tell you this. When I was a kid, there was this food where they took the cinnamon roll bread. It was like sliced bread, but it was cinnamon roll that was rolled up. I don't even know what to call it, cinnamon bread. And they would spread cheese whiz on it and then put olives on it. And I'm telling you, it's the grossest thing in the world, right? And they still do this in all the small towns in Minnesota. So there was some Facebook post, and it was about all these strange, ugly Minnesota ugly food for kids. It's just awful. Cheese whiz on crackers with an olive. I mean, who does that, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
My wife's friend, she goes, "Oh, look at all those stupid, dumb white people in Minnesota." Boom, Facebook jail because she was bullying, calling them white people. So, you know, it's almost as bad as a Five Guys comment.
Yeah. That's pretty bad. No.
So, but we won't go there. You're out of jail.
Yeah, I'm out of jail. So, all right, gentlemen, I thank you for being here tonight, and I want to thank everybody for watching. I'm sorry.
Thanks for watching.
I'm sorry to everybody that, you know, if we didn't catch your comments and stuff, you know, we'll definitely go back through and review, and you know, we might answer a couple of them next week. So I appreciate you guys coming and watching and being here. So any final thoughts from you guys?
Man, it's season's coming up, and you know, just go out there and enjoy your cars, man. I mean, it's just we're lucky to have these cars, no matter what condition they are, just to own one. So, man, it's just good. It's good to see people driving them. Good to see people working on them. So get out there and have fun. It's not a competition. It's not a competition, you know. And pride-wise, I was telling this just a little bit to Daniel. I mean, you know, don't be so caught up in pride if you don't ask questions about it here on the channel. I mean, that's the cool thing about this the mob here is no. I don't feel like anybody is a big know-it-all, and nobody tries to talk down to another person. It's just like, hey, ask a question. No, I mean, we rib each other, but when it comes to serious stuff like that, nobody's critiquing your stuff or or trying to think that theirs is better than yours or anything else. Just ask away if we can answer it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, I've talked to several guys here. I don't know everything about these cars. I don't claim to be an expert at all. I have a little bit of a knowledge, but
I've worked on a few, but I don't have all the knowledge.
So
I'm learning as I go. That's why I started the page with Jim, because nobody was answering my questions on all the other pages, and I said, God, there's got to be more out there. So I mean, whatever I can learn, we pass it on, and it's truly about giving each other that too, Daniel, but Jesus Christ, giving it's really about just sharing and having fun and giving each other shit. And like next week, if we do it again, we might have to talk a little bit slower so David Bacon can understand what we're saying and things like that. And that's okay.
I mean, I can redneck it up. I mean, I can talk real Texas on this channel. Does that sound?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I love doing impersonations of my friends to other friends.
Hey,
so even today at work, my guy Chad, who works with me, I was talking about you. I said, well, I was talking to my buddy Joey, because he calls up, and Joey's like, "Hey man, what's going on?"
What's going on? But you got to shake your head though. You got to shake your head like Jay Leno. Hey man, what's going on?
Yeah. But up there in the north, you gotta.
Yeah, I got me a hockey stick,
Yeah, you boys up there in the north. Don't you know?
I tell you what, we're gonna go up to I can go to my grandma's house and have some casserole. I'll come back and whoop your butt with the spoon, okay? Jesus Christ! Oh Jesus! Jesus. All you guys have down there is that barbecue. Up here, you need two seasonings. You got salt and pepper. If you want more, you put more on. That's how it is up here. Okay? You guys down there with your soda.
Starting to sound like a little. Hey, Daniel, does that not sound like he's got like a little bit of a lisp, like a little limp wrister going on there?
Right. A little bit.
Well, shit, yeah, homie. So David Bacon says "F you."
Yeah.
At least, David, let me help you out. We weren't really making fun of you. We were just making a point. There.
All right. Well, we're signing off for the night. Thank you, everybody, for joining and watching with us. And I appreciate you guys for coming and joining here. And we will sign off and see you guys next week. Thank you much.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.